Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Brough Guitars Review. This is going to be part 2 in our series about the wonderful thing that is known as the Tonex pedal. Sorry if I sound a little bit more nasally or sniffy or anything else than normal, because allergies out here in Vegas have been absolutely bonkers, man. You go from 30 to 75 in a day, and it's got me all kinds of jacked up. But that's all right. I'll feel better Monday when the Hoosiers take on Miami, and I hope they come out with a win. So go Hoosiers. But enough about my life. Like I said, I just wanted to just kind of let you guys know what was going on. Today we're going to try something a little bit new. I am going to do a screen recording on my computer to kind of give you guys a bit clearer depiction of what you can expect when it comes to Tonex. It's not going to be a tutorial video. Like I said, there's plenty of videos out there like explaining to you guys how to really kind of get the ball rolling on the Tonex. But again, I'm just teaching you like bare essentials again for my personal setup. So if you made it to part 2 and you hadn't already seen part 1, please go back, watch part 1 first, and then watch part 2, because this is all going congruent. I don't have to keep re-explaining myself from previous videos, because just get you going and really enjoying this thing here. But yeah, furthermore, we're just going to go ahead and get into the thing. But from the music that you had heard earlier, that was 110% the Tonex pedal, with the exception of just one reverb pedal on that. But I'll explain that in a second. But that was all Tonex. That was an EVH patch from the 7879, and it's killer. And I hope it really came across in that. I think it does. I'm not gonna sit there and say it's 100%. You know, I played the best that I could to play some Eddie Van Halen songs from that era, and hopefully you guys really enjoyed that. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and let's just get into this. And yeah, all right, guys. So kind of like I had talked about, if you break down the Tonex pedal into basically, 3 things, you're gonna have the Tonex pedal itself. You're gonna have amplitude, and then you're also gonna have the Tonex software. So to again make this as digestible as possible, when you get your pedal, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to obviously open it, and then I think, if I recall, there's a little QR code within the box, and that's also has obviously a web address on it, and that's going to take you to IK Multimedia, where you're going to be able to then register your product. So first you're going to register your product. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my IK product manager. This is one of the things that you will also download during that time, but it's just a little quick access for me to get going here and just go straight to the IK Multimedia website. So, all right, so here, we're at ikmultimedia.com. There should be a tab down here somewhere. It says register your product. So you're going to register it there. And then what will happen is there's going to be like this area down here where it says my products. I'm like pointing at the screen. That's so funny. Like I'm pointing with my hand, but you guys are seeing me here. It's going to take some getting used to. But there's a driver downloads tab here where you can then basically register, like I said, the Tonex or whatever product you happen to have for IK Multimedia. And then it's going to give you all of the software that you need to be able to then download the software. There's free versions of this to where you can just download the free versions. That's the simple term. Download the free versions because there are upgraded versions, and I'll explain what you get with those and why those even exist. But just do literally the free version of Amplitube, and then just do the free version of the Tonex software just to get you started and get your feet wet and see if what you like before you go, start pouring endless money into this stuff and go down the rabbit hole, so to speak. So as you'll see those icons, find your IK product manager. You're going to go ahead and click on that. And then as you click on that, we're going to expand it so we can see here. And then you're going to see where I have the Tonex Max installed. And then I also have the Amplitude 5 version 2 installed. Now, I did, if I recall, upgrade one of these, but again, I will touch on that later. But this is what your computer is pretty much going to look like after you register your product. Then you're going to have these downloads, and like I want to touch on earlier is like I don't think you necessarily have to download Amplitude, but it is free and it's completely worth it. So, it should literally take, minutes for you to download this stuff. You'll have the Tonex software, and then you'll also have obviously your Amplitude. So when I was talking about, again, the Holy Trinity, you have the pedal and then you have the Tonex software. So let's just go ahead and go into our Tonex software here real quick. So here's the Tonex software that's going to go ahead and pop up. All right, so over here is pretty much the gist of what it's going to look like as soon as you open it, okay? Now, I'm not going to get into the fact of like, hey, what's the difference between a preset and a tone model? That's a different rabbit hole for someone else's channel because it's been covered. But again, I want to give you guys the absolute essential basics that you're gonna need here. So for me, again, out of all these clips that you've heard, I got this mainly because of the Eddie Van Halen, patches from Jim Gostick, which are basically like I said, they're amp captures of Jim's rig that were inspired by Ed because the guy is a apparent huge Van Halen fan and has like the Variac and his old Marshalls and all that stuff. Not literally Eddie's, but essentially the same thing bought from back in the day. So he did amp captures on that stuff. And then through the amp captures and AI and all the other magical magician crap they have to make this thing as awesome as it is, they were able to put out some collections, and those collections are basically kind of, again, trying to recreate like Van Halen 1, Van Halen 2, Women and Children First, Diver Down, 1984, all that stuff. So when you bring up, this website and you're sitting here, you're looking at it and you're saying, oh my God, I have all this stuff. Obviously the Tonex pedal has some of its own built-in presets right here that you can already play with or whatever else. But again, for me being a Van Halen fan, the only thing I cared about was I went over here to this top right-hand corner, this collections tab. When you click on collections, anytime you see that little bar down there, that little orange bar, it's doing its thing. It's loading. But if you go to this collections tab here, you can see all of these different, versions of amps or cabinets that they have that are obviously, like super popular. Like, this one over here looks like a, It's basically a Soldano. And, then you got your, Fender Deluxe or your Orange. It's got anything you could possibly think of, right? Now, for craps and giggles here, let me go to all collections. And then right here, when you go to all collections, this is where you can really start to see kind of more of like the artistry, uh, collections you got. Alex Lifeson over here. They got a Joe Satriani. Um, they got all kinds of stuff here. But again, for you Van Halen fans such as myself, and the green check mark that you saw. Sorry, let me get back here. The green check mark that you saw shows that it was already purchased. So let's just leave the screen right here, Kyle. Get it figured out. But all right, so you got the Brown Sound 7879 here. You got the 8081 right here, and then you got the 82 through basically 84. And right now you can purchase these, and you'll see here that these have prices, and I don't know how long the sale's going on for. I know that from what I've been told that these prices do change from time to time. And I think at one point they were like $100 or more a piece. Right now they are going for $49.99 to my knowledge, because that's what I just bought them for not even a month ago. So whether you feel like you need all three or not is completely up to you. My take on it is I do feel like the majority of these, sound the same, but they're subtly different. I'll say that. It's not that they're completely the same; they are subtly different. Uh, but for instance, like when I sit there and I pulled up, I clicked on that, and from the collections tab, and I bring up my Brown Sound 7879. Right down here is all of the presets that come with it, and you'll notice the names are kind of vaguely familiar, from other channels I've watched, like Love Talks, it's probably ain't talking about love, or um, you know, feeling loved, you know, feel your love tonight kind of thing. So they're all play on words. Because obviously of copyright, they can't necessarily say like, oh, hey, the volcano 70 or the volcano is eruption or whatever else. So, you just kind of gotta do your due diligence. But again, it's pretty straightforward if you are a Van Halen fan. Like the Devil's Race is obviously running with the devil. So it makes it fun. But when you do notice that these patches here, and I believe you can also try them for free as well. If you're not too sure. So when you do click on it, it'll say like try for free, or it'll like play you a music sample, and the music sample you can hear kind of gives you an idea. But I think when you try it, you can try it for like so many minutes. And I can't recall if when you try it, it plays like a static sound, like psh, psh, like that. And you think there's probably like a connection problem with your computer. That's not the case. It's just because it's not purchased, so it's not completely unlocked, but they still will let you try it. But when you're noticing like through these two, besides a play on words, is you'll see like 70V, 89V for, some of the same names, and you're probably thinking, what does that mean? And basically what that is implicating to you is that the voltage for the variac, that is the settings. So, one might be a little bit harder, one might be a little bit hotter, and then maybe another one's maybe less voltage, so it's a little bit more deprived. Maybe it gives it a darker, brighter sound depending on what your ears hear. And then you also see other presets where basically it's going to be sitting there talking to you about like, hey, this is just strictly like the amp head, or this is you know just strictly the cabinet, or if you wanted to do, you know, whatever. I mean, it's just there. You'll see different versions for the same name, and it just gives you more options and more, capabilities with this software and this pedal. And remember, guys, we're strictly, we're still in the Tonex realm, right? We haven't even touched on some of the other really cool stuff. But like, so I clicked on the Volcano 78V, which again, 78 volts for the Variac, as you can see right here. But I mean, this is kind of like the play of the amp head, and you can see the variac how it's connected into it. So it's a really just cool look, and pays great tribute to obviously the early days of Van Halen. But like I said, from I think the one that I played with was the Volcano 78V, and that was all the takes of that you've heard up to this point throughout this video will be strictly just that. And then I added just a little bit of reverb. So to touch more on that, up here at the top, basically you do have some options here. So like if I want to throw a reverb on there, I could just click that, off click that. You can change the settings for the reverb. You have delay, you got modulation if you wanted. And then, like I said, you can change those settings within it. And that makes this, relatively versatile. And if you wanted to also take the pedal and run your pedals through that instead, then you also have that option as well. But yeah, so you do have effects here that you can do. Again, I'm just trying to scratch the surface for you guys. There's other channels out there or information that can walk you through how to get these presets completely to the pedal. But like I said, for my setup, that is not what I'm doing at all. I'm just strictly using it as my interface and using this software in conjunction with it. Now, you can get lost in these sounds all day long. I'm not going to sit there and go through them. I've, again, only scratched the surface of this. I still haven't even played every single setting in the 7879, the 8081, or the 8284. I'm still playing with all those, and the only reason is because of the other capabilities pedal has me pretty much addicted and lost in that as of right now. But to get back to the Tonex software, so, again, this is pretty straightforward. I don't think it really needs any further explanation. I just kind of wanted to give you guys an idea as far as, you know, this, and just kind of just give you enough knowledge to be able to get in here and just, really kind of just deep dive um, into that. But this ToneNet tab over here, if you were to click on that, this is where you would pretty much go into, you know, changing your presets if you wanted, or seeing other presets that are out there that you could try or download or anything along those lines. But if we go back to the collections tab here, if you look down here on the right hand side, and this is all over all of the presets, you'll see these thumbs up as if you like it, on like Facebook or any other form of social media. But you'll see like this, like the 78 or the Volcano 78V here, it's got 209 likes in comparison to some of these other ones. Does that mean it's any better? No, it just means a lot of people really happen to really like that one, or it's really popular, or maybe just everyone likes playing Eruption, or they love that tone. And again, to my knowledge, with the settings on these you can they're all set to 12, but that's because they're dimed into Jim's setup that he has at his house in Nashville when he was doing all this stuff. So when he has it all dialed in, that's 12 is that foundation of where he has it dialed in to start off at. And then you can actually change the settings to your liking, but just know you're moving from the foundation of Jim where he has it set, not just like, oh, on an amp, I'm going to turn it on and I'm going from ground zero with nothing through it and then up to 3 to 10 or whatever else is you want to do, and you're getting it dialed in. You're starting off from zero would be for us, would be Jim's exact settings. That is your ground zero, and that's where you're MacGyvering from. So just keep that in mind when you are adjusting these. It's not going to have the same effect as if you, like I said, start off just zero from nothing. But you'll see, like I said, those likes and you can kind of give you a better idea too, as far as maybe like what a lot more people are into. So what you might try first, or as as opposed to something else. Uh, but again, from the sounds that I've captured of the Van Halen stuff up to this point, you've really just heard everything through my pedal over here, the Tone X pedal, because like I said, I am running it in interface mode, and so because I'm running in interface mode, you're probably thinking, well, how did you record that music? And that's what I want to get into next. So I'm going to go ahead and quit this. So think of Tonex as its own thing. That's where you can download. That's where you can edit your stuff. That's where you can do all of that fun jazz. With the within the pedal is within that Tonex icon, which again is right down here in the bottom right. Now to take it a step further, we're going to go and open up Amplitude. And real quick on the Tonex, you can upgrade that software. They do have other versions, which basically, is going to either give you kind of like more access to some more presets, or maybe you get them at a discount, or maybe you have more editing skills or something along those lines. That's pretty much what that's version. But Amplitude over here, this bad boy. So anyway, so we have Amplitude here, okay? So now this is that other part of the Holy Trinity. Now again, I'm running this pedal in interface mode, and the real reason is because like I have GarageBand on this Mac, and let me tell you, it's not very user friendly. I've used GarageBand before when I was younger. Didn't know what I was doing then. Definitely don't know what I'm doing now. I'm not an audio engineer by any means, but again, if I can do any of this stuff, you can definitely do it. But it just kind of threw me for a loop with GarageBand, because like I struggled so much with audio issues, or getting guitar signal through, or unmuting this track and doing this. It just seemed, I don't know, it just seemed far more complicated for me than what I'm willing to dive into. But Amplitude itself is super user friendly, and you watch a video or two and you pretty much got the concept of it. So think of Amplitude in the same sense as like GarageBand. It's kind of like a DAW. It's a digital audio workstation basically. And it's where you can record, you can put effects on things, and yada yada. It's still an IK Multimedia product, and that's why it also comes with the purchase of when you get the Tonex, it allows you to have the ability to get to the software. So you have the Tonex software by itself, and then you have Amplitude as well. So Amplitude, it's awesome. And I'm not going to give you some giant tutorial on this either, but just know that with Amplitude, you can actually come in here and you can upload your you can upload your collections. So if I go to here we go. So if I click on collections, I can actually upload, like I said, 7879, or if I go 8284, I can upload any of these presets, and then it's going to drop down here. And what's down here is essentially your signal chain. So you're kind of like going direct in, and then it's like, do you want any pedals running in front of the amp? Do you want any pedals running after the amp? You want it running into a cab? Do you want it running like over here, as you see in the bottom left? This is your signal chain options. Look, you could run freaking 3 amp heads into 3 different cabinets if you wanted. You could run, parallel like this. You can run it in just, kind of wet dry, or you could do a wet dry wet rig. Um, it's just it's endless what you can do, and you can plug and chug. You can choose different amps. You can literally mic the amps. You can choose where the mic goes. You can, like I said, do effects. And when you sit there and you click on these effects, as you can see here, when I click on this next to the amp, that little pedal there, it shows you what pedals you have available to you. And just know that when you get the free version of the Amplitude, it's like 3 pedals or something crazy. And so, if you want to completely unlock Amplitude, I want to say it's like $100 to completely unlock Amplitude. And now you have access to all of these pedals. And I tell you right now, it's worth the $100. It is worth it. So worth it. Because now you can just go mad scientist and just create your dream rig or whatever. Because otherwise, these pedals are like $20 a piece, or 10 or something like that. But I mean, it adds up quick. You get 5 pedals at the price of $20 you've already paid for the Amplitude unlocking, so to speak. So anyway, that's just kind of the gist on that in particular. And like I said, if you don't want to do the whole pedal thing and change the pedals into here, it's totally cool, because the Tonex pedal, the physical pedal, takes pedals really, really well. So like when you are hearing me play, hear about it later, that little riff and Pretty Woman. I'm using my pedal board down here on the floor straight into the Tonex pedal and then into the computer. And so that's all that is. And I'm just adding the flavor. And so you can hear it, obviously, and it doesn't sound horrible. It takes, like I said, it takes pedals really, really well, guys. It's a very well built product, and the software takes a lot of stuff super good. So when it comes to using this as a DAW, and again, that's been my whole premise with this, and my use is to use this as an interface and use it as my DAW. And so when you're here in Amplitude, as you can see down here towards the left-hand side, you see kind of these offset lines right down here. And when you click on this, now this brings up essentially like, again, your DAW. And it's exactly the same sense as GarageBand, but way better, because it's so much easier to understand. And again, I'm not going to give you a full breakdown of this, but just know you can do multi-track recording here. You can adjust your volumes here. You can, do your mix. You can denoise it. You can clip and cut and duplicate and all of that. And just note, for just a little peace of mind thing that I want to throw out there. If you are using the pedal in interface mode, and again, that's where you're physically going in on the pedal and you're going through the settings and changing it, or unless you have the app on your phone, I think you can change it through that way too. Um, or even through the Tone X software, if you have your pedal plugged in, you can change the settings. It's easier to actually do it on the pedal for that specifically. Just watch a tutorial video on how to just change it into interface mode. But if you are looking to use this as the interface and using it as a DAW to record music, any music that you want to do, then as you have it in interface mode, just know that you need to also change the USB settings to dual, DUAL, dual. Reason being is because if you don't do that, like I did, like a jackass, I recorded something that I thought was really super cool, and then I went to go play it back, and on the computer, it played it with all of the pedals in the wet signal. But then once I exported it off of or within the Mac, and then I did a playback, it was literally just a direct in guitar signal. And if you don't know what that means, I'm literally talking about like if you plugged into an amp and you just turn the volume up, no distortion, no nothing, just complete dry signal or like a PA, or basically if you're like playing a guitar, an electric guitar without being plugged into anything, that's pretty much what it sounded like. It's just a direct, unaffected signal, just the guitar. Very boring, right? So I did that for a little bit, and then I was like, man, how the heck do I change that? So again, I had to watch another tutorial video, which is why, again, guys, we're doing this whole thing for you, is just to kind of give you the premise and make this easy for you. You're welcome. But I put it in the dual mode, and then once I re-recorded what I had done, because I accidentally deleted it, I gave up. I then, in turn, listened back to it, and it was with the wet effects and wet signal, and it was awesome. And I just needed that one little step. But again, I'm sure it's probably in the manual somewhere, but I don't got time to read 700,000 pages of a manual. I just, like I said, guys, I like to just plug and play and go. Now, obviously, there are other things that you can do with this pedal. Like I said, with the live mode, you can, you know, download the presets of whatever you want to the pedal, and then you could either go into the FRFR speaker, which is like a PA speaker, like to talk about in part one, or you could run this into a clean, channel on your amp and use it essentially as a distortion or whatever. If you have another amp that you can run in as a flat settings like the THR stuff and run this straight through, you have to switch to live mode again in order to use the effects straight through like that, to my knowledge. And I apologize if any of this information is wrong. I'm just teaching you what I just know as far as fact. And again, it's just only scratched the surface, but this pedal's so great at a lot that I think it's worth telling the people that are like me, where I just like to plug and go. And I feel like I'm going on a tangent, and I apologize, but again, it's awesome. I know I'm giving you guys just a bare glimpse, but I hope this helps. Another thing that this pedal is also capable of, and as well as the software, is going to be amp capturing. So it's able to actually capture any of your settings on your actual amp. Now, I've not done that. It seemed like it's absolutely crazy, but if you guys want to go actually check out Pete Thorne's video, if I can find it, I'll put it around here somewhere. But Pete Thorne actually breaks down the amp capturing process. I've seen other YouTubers talk about where it's like out of the whole thing, as far as the pedal being absolutely crazy to understand, is really the amp capturing process. But again, for me, I already have my amp, I have my rig, so why do I want to capture it? I understand that it's a lot, so it makes sense to capture it and put it in the pedal for a live setting. But as of right now, like I said, I'm only using this strictly as, a tool for recording music and really just trying the presets and having fun with it. it kind of reminds me a lot, but far more advanced, of like the Digitech RP pedals, where you had, again, all those presets that you could use. But it's the thing about those is like when you ran that in a pedal board or with anything on your amp, like it just sounded like crap. It was horrible. And God help all those people I played in front of for many years with that setup, because wow, wow. Uh, but again, the possibilities with this pedal are endless, and I don't want this to be some 45-minute long video. There are people going on and on and on and on about it. Again, I just wanted to give you guys a really quick kind of synopsis into seeing what this pedal can do, how great it is. And again, I know we've only scratched the surface, guys, but there's so many tutorial videos out there for you that you can watch and really help you. I just want to give you the bare bones and the essentials, especially if this is a setup of something that you like and something you want to do. Then you can definitely do that. I just want to make another note too. As you guys are looking here on my screen, you can see these are really all the icons that you'll have, minus the VN. That's what I use for my editing software, in case you guys want to know. But you have IK Product Manager, you got the Amplitude, and you got the Tonex, and then you got Tonex Editor, and then the Tonex Modular. And I think it's either the Editor or the Modular. I've honestly never clicked on this one, as where you do like the amp capturing stuff and all of that goodness. And we'll touch a little bit on that in the next part. Hold on, guys. My dog's losing his mind. Sorry about that, guys. We're literally making it to the end here, and he's losing his mind. I had to let him out of the room. Probably got tired of hearing me talk. But we are going to finish that here, to be honest. Like I said, I hope in some form this helps you guys. I hope it kind of gives you a little bit more insight as far as, kind of what you're dealing with, what you're doing, how you can set it up, and how you can just kind of pick up and go. Like I said, this will be a 4-part series, so please stay tuned, because we are going to go into a part 3, which is, out of all these parts, is the one that I'm going to be the most excited for, because that's where I feel like the pedal is even better than what you've seen or heard up to this point. And those of you that have a Tonex pedal, you probably already know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, again, apologies for the setup and trying to make this seem cool in some way with the share screen and talking and ranting. Did the best I could for the first time ever. So, again, I hope this helps you guys. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot my way, Facebook, It's probably the one I see the most because I have the most people on there because I'm just an old soul. You can catch me on Instagram and YouTube, really, and get a hold of me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please stay tuned for the next one. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. I always appreciate it. Let's grow the Brough Guitars Review family and help, share this video and get it out there if you feel like being kind. Until then, go Indiana Hoosiers. Do whatever it is you do. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.